To Sports Central, we'll be going over our next schedule preview this offseason, and it will be over the Boise State Broncos, and this is a team that went 12-2 in the 2019 season, and overall for Boise State, I mean, they won their conference, and overall it's a great season for Boise State, but how will they do in 2020 is what we're going over here today. We're going to be going over a few players that this team will be losing, who they're going to be returning, and also going over their schedule for the first time this offseason. Starting off with the games that Boise State has had since November. And we start off on November 2nd when they played San Jose State. That was a road game, and it was a shootout as well. They got the win, though, in the end, 52-42. They also had a win to Wyoming. That was an overtime game, 20-17. If they would have lost that one, that would have been really detrimental to their chances of winning really anything in the postseason. On the 16th, they played New Mexico. Big win there, 42-9. Also had a big win at Utah State, 56-21. And then they finished off the regular season with a win against Colorado State, 31-24. So, overall great regular season for Boise State, no doubt on that. I mean, they were 11-1 between their entire regular season. They played Hawaii in the Mountain West Championship, got the win there 31-10, pretty easy until they had to face off against Washington in their bowl game on the 21st, which it took a loss there, 7-38, definitely the worst loss of the season for Boise State. And certainly, I mean, Washington last season, they were okay, they were nothing special, but certainly, I mean, that was going to be a tough game either way for Boise State to play them. But nonetheless, as far as the trend for Boise State, they were 6-1 between September and October, and they are also 6-1 between November and the rest of the season. So overall, they were pretty consistent with how they were for the majority of the season. Moving on to returning production for 2020, they returned their starting quarterback in Hank Beckmeyer, which he was a good quarterback last season. He certainly could have had a better season, but overall, I mean, he still was a pretty decent quarterback. He had just right around 1,900 yards, along with 9 touchdowns and 6 interceptions last season. So, his touchdown-interception ratio wasn't all that great, but certainly, I mean, as far as the yardage goes, he's pretty good. They do lose their second quarterback in Jalen Henderson. He was a big part of this team as well. He had just over 1,000 yards with 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So, and those two quarterbacks, they pretty much split time for the entire season. So, both quarterbacks did get some action. Jalen Henderson, overall, though, he was probably the better quarterback of the two this season because of how, I mean, his touchdown-interception ratio was really, really good. He had a 12-2, which is basically a 6-1, which is something that's very impressive. But they'd also returned their top running back in George Holani, which he was a big player too, probably the best player of this offense in general. He had just over 1,200 yards with 10 touchdowns this past season. They also returned their second running back in Robert Mahone, which he had just over 500 yards of offense last season. So this running back core is looking really good heading into 2020, no doubt. They do lose their top wide receiver in John Hightower, which he had just right around 1,100 yards with 8 touchdowns last season. So that's going to be a tough loss there, no doubt. They also returned their second and third wide receivers, though, so that's going to be good to be able to replace John Hightower. Their second and third wide receivers are Khalil Shakir and C.T. Thomas, which Khalil Shakir had just right around 938 yards with 9 touchdowns. Then C.T. Thomas had just right around 550 yards. So, both those wide receivers were very important to this offense, no doubt on that. However, the big losses come on the lines. Of course, they lose 3 offensive linemen as well as 3 defensive linemen. See, I mean, especially on that defensive line, they're going to have a lot of work, and especially, I mean, when you lose basically an entire starting position, I mean, that's going to be really tough to deal with going into 2020 for Boise State. They also return all their linebackers, which is huge. They also lose 2 in the secondary, though, so this defense does take a couple of major hits. They do lose 5 starters, but overall, this offense isn't looking all that bad. I mean, their starting quarterback, Hank Beckmeyer, that's going to be good for him to return. The running back core is going to be good, so overall for Boise State looking pretty good heading into 2020, but that brings up the question, chances of winning their conference once again in 2020. And to that, I say it's really, really tough to say right now. I think Boise State definitely is my early favorite, but certainly, I mean, who knows if a team could come out of absolutely nowhere and win that conference. But, I mean, Boise State still is definitely my early favorite to win that title once again. Moving on to its 2020 schedule, you start the season against Georgia Southern on September 5th. Then you got Air Force on the 12th. So you got a tougher game on the road at Air Force, but otherwise, I mean, Georgia Southern's going to be pretty easy. You got a tough one against Florida State at home, Marshall on the road, San Jose State, then you got Utah State at home too. You got Hawaii on the road, followed by UNLV to finish off October. As far as November goes, you got BYU, New Mexico, and then Wyoming and Colorado State. So, here's what I'm expecting. I'll give you 3 guaranteed wins, and those will be Georgia Southern, San Jose State, and UNLV. 3 pretty easy games. I mean, all 3 of those are going to be at home against teams that are pretty much less than mediocre. So, overall for Boise State, I mean, the schedule is not all that hard. I'd say a record estimation for this team would be 9-3 to 11-1. I'd say, I mean, your toughest games on here, Hawaii's definitely going to be a tough one. That's a long ways away, and they're a pretty good team last season. You could also consider, I mean, Wyoming could come out of nowhere, and Florida State game, can't forget about that, Air Force. So yeah, certainly for Boise State, once again though, I do expect a great season. I wouldn't be even surprised if they went undefeated going through the regular season. But yeah, once again, your record estimation 9-3 to 11-1 for Boise State. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this team. If you enjoyed the schedule preview, be sure to slap a like on it, subscribe as well. Really helps out the channel, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, once again, that's all for watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central, and I will see you all later.